Leadership can be defined as one's ability to influence and motivate others to bring the best out in them. It focuses on encouraging individuals to add more to the overall effectiveness of an organization.
Leadership is also the art of motivating a group of people to act towards achieving a common goal. It also captures the essentials of being able and prepared to inspire others. In a school setting, this can mean directing teachers and colleagues with a strategy to meet the school's needs.
To learn further about our topic, I am Gilvert D.
I am Renan and Nacor, and this is EdD 713, Educational Leadership and Management.
This day we will talk about the curriculum for leadership and development, content and process. There is a great and widespread interest in educational leadership and management, a trend that has been accelerating in the 21st century, and widely accepted belief that effective leadership is vital for the successful schooling is increasingly and being supported by the evidence of its beneficial effects. It is now recognized to be the second most significant factor influencing school and pupil outcomes after classroom practice. The government are investing substantial sums in leadership development because they believe that will produce better leaders and more effective school system. I believe that good leadership in schools is the practice of encouraging and enabling school-wide teaching expertise in order to achieve a strong rate of progress for all learners. A good school with a good leader can make everyone more motivated to work every day, even inspire both teachers and learners. Individuals are also contributing their time and often their own resources to their own professional development because they think they will enhance their career prospects and make them better leaders. These are the reasons why we are taking our Doctor of Education degree. A master's degree, for example, not only deepens our education, but also allows to contribute out of the classroom. Choosing to pursue master's degree takes initiative and commitment. These same traits, along with your newly gained knowledge and skills, they make you a successful leader and innovator when you complete your degree. Another lesson also is if we take our master's degree, we are being part of the chain of knowledge. The knowledge handed to us by our professors came from another professors who learned from someone who learned from it, or it's either from famous scientist or philosopher. We became part of a chain of knowledge. On our topic, Bush and Jackson's of 2002, review of school leadership programs in 7 countries on 4 continents for the NCSL, lead them to conclude that the outlined curriculum differed little despite the evident diversity in culture and context. According to them, the content of educational leadership programs has considerable similarities in different countries, leading to a hypothesis that there is an international curriculum for school leadership preparation. Most courses focus on leadership, including vision, mission, and transformational leadership, gives prominence to issues of learning and teaching, often described as instructional leadership, and incorporate consideration of the main task areas of administration or management, such as human resources and professional development, finance, curriculum, and external relations. Moving forward to the content of leadership development programs, Day 2001 defines leadership development as expanding the collective capacity of organizational members to engage effectively in leadership roles and processes. Bolam 1999 argues that leadership development can be grouped into four modes. First is knowledge for understanding. Second, knowledge for action. Third, improvement of practice. And fourth, development of reflexive mode. Diversity in the contents and methods of preparation and its general core knowledge and skills includes strategies of communication and decision-making, legal aspects of school management, critical management tasks like strategic planning, total quality management and policy analysis, school leadership in both instruction and administration, curriculum management and teaching methods, business management of financial and material resources, external relations with parents, education authorities, and special interest groups, strategies of school evaluation of effectiveness and efficiency, strategies of school innovation and development. In USA, the content is linked to the standards for school leaders, developed by the Interstate School Leaders Licensure Consortium, or the ISLLC. The ISLLC developed 7 guiding principles to give meaning to the standards. That was according to Murphy and Shipman of 2003. Standards should reflect the centrality of student learning. Number 2, acknowledge the changing role of the school leader. Number 3, recognize the collaborative nature of school leadership. 4, upgrade the quality of the profession. 5th, inform performance-based system of assessment and evaluation for school leaders. 6th, be integrated and coherent. 7, be predicated on the concept of access, opportunity, and empowerment for all members of the school community. Moving on Ontario, Canada. Inspiring Principals must take the Principals Qualification Program, or the PQP. It has 8 modules, which are social context, staff development and teacher supervision, management, leadership, the school and its community, initiation of change, implementation of change, and institutional of change. In France, the National Program for School Leaders of Secondary Schools has similar content to that in the USA. It comprises administration, budgeting, school law, management techniques, teacher evaluation, interpersonal and communication skills, leading conferences and staff groups, assessment in practice, and youth psychology. That was according to Huber and Moret of 2004. Leadership development in Norway is focused on the university sector. Wales and Walestrand 2005 note that the following modules are given most focus in their programs. First, organization and leadership. Second, personnel, leadership, and budget administration. Third, pedagogical leadership. Fourth, law and public administration. Fifth, school development. Sixth, quality and evaluation. Seventh, ICT and learning. In Austria, programs are organized by each federal state. The program in Salzburg includes 5 core modules. First is the communication and leadership. Second is conflict management, lesson provision, school development, and school law and budgeting. Singapore is a major center for leadership development, the pioneer in Asia and one of the first countries to focus strongly on preparation for principals. The Ministry of Education and the National Institute of Education launched the Diploma in Education Administration, a one-year full-time program for prospective principals as early as 1984. This was replaced by a new course, Leaders in Education, in 2001. Chong et al. Of 2003 stressed that the delivery is the main concern of the new program, but they also note the content of the modules, which are the following: managing competitive learning school organizations, marketing and strategic choice, applying new technology in managing learning, achieving excellence in teaching and learning, building human and intellectual capital, leadership for the new millennium, personal mastery and development for principals. For China, has provided training programs for principals for 50 years, and more than 1 million had been trained by 1997. Daming of 2003 notes that most professional training programs continue to emphasize knowledge and neglect administrative skills and leadership competencies, but offers few details of the content of such programs. In contrast, there were no preparation programs for principals in Taiwan before 2001 by Lin 2003. Subsequently, 2 principals training centers were opened. The curriculum comprises fundamental courses such as research and organizational analysis and professional courses focusing on 3 areas: instructional leadership, management and administration, politics and policy. This table shows continents on South African ACE programs. Table 4.2 provides an overview of provisions in 9 of the 10 countries. The table shows that these programs have several common topics across national boundaries, but also some themes which appear to be context-specific. 5 of these appear in more than half of the countries and might be regarded as a starting point for the creation of an international curriculum. That was according to Bush and Jackson of 2002. First is instructional leadership. This topic relates to the core task of schools, promoting and developing teaching and learning. The descriptors vary and include pedagogical leadership, managing teaching and learning, and achieving excellence in teaching and learning. Instructional leadership focuses on teaching and learning and on behavioral of teachers in working with students. Leaders' influence is targeted at students' learning via teachers by Bush and Gilvert of 2003. Next is law. Schools operate within a specific legal framework, and leaders must have regarded to the law in enacting their roles. The purpose of a module on law is to ensure that leaders understand the main legal requirements affecting schools and their management. Third is finance. It is important for the centralized system where there are self-managing schools. Principals may be responsible for substantial budgets and need the skills to set and manage budgets, audits, spending, and ensure that expenditure is targeted at meeting the school objectives. These also need to provide financial statements to stakeholders, including school governing bodies. Fourth is managing people. People are at the heart of any organization, and school leaders need to work through other people, staff, and stakeholders in order to achieve school's objectives. In self-managing schools, leaders may be responsible for the full range of human resources management, including staff selection, induction, mentoring, staff development, deployment, performance, appraisal, and discipline. Lastly, administration. This term may be denote routine management tasks or refer to a wider and more significant set of processes. In some countries, the term management may be used instead, but the key point is that all schools have to carry out a range of administrative and managerial tasks in order to be functional, while courses need to reflect such processes. It is important to avoid managerialism and emphasis on process at the expense of school goals.
Once again, good day everyone. The second part of our presentation is about the leadership development processes with the following keynotes: individualized learning, personalized learning, and group learning. Also, the 4 dimensions that the leadership development program should reinforce. Let us first define what is leadership development. Leadership development is the process which helps expand the capacity of individuals to perform in leadership roles within organizations. Leadership roles are those that facilitate execution of an organization's strategy through curriculum alignment, winning mindshare, and growing the capabilities of others. Leadership roles may be formal, with the corresponding authority to make decisions and to take responsibility, or they may be informal roles with little official authority. We have a member of a team who influences team engagement, purpose and direction, a lateral peer who must listen and negotiate through influence. Traditionally, leadership development has focused on developing the leadership abilities and attitudes of our leaders and individuals within the organizations. Different personal traits and characteristics can help or hinder a person's leadership effectiveness, and of course requires formalized programs with the corresponding authority to make decisions and to take responsibility for developing leadership competencies. Lustig and Barton in 2006 had mentioned that school leaders are adults and need to be involved in determining their own learning needs. Also, they make 2 key points about adult learning. Number 1, adults have their own motivations for learning. The adult learners build on their existing knowledge and experiences and match these learnings into their own purpose and engage in it. Usually, the purpose for learning are related to their real-life situations and the practices and rules they engage outside organizations. Number 2, we have the adults have the drive towards self-direction and towards becoming autonomous learners. Learning is initiated by the learners itself. The role only of the teacher is just to provide or secure environment where learning could only take place. The best description of a self-determined individual is someone who believes she is in control of her own life, also takes responsibility for her own behavior or taking credit and blame for whatever the result of his actions, and determines her action based on her own interval, values, and goals. Burgoyen et al. Conclude that there is no single form of management and leadership capability that enhances performance in the same way in all situations, and no single way in which management and leadership development creates this capability. Rather, there are many different forms of development that can generate different types of management and leadership capability, which in turn can increase performance in various ways. Individualized learning, of course, refers to learning experiences in which the pace of learning is adjusted to meet the needs of individual students. In other words, individualized learning focuses on the questions of when, or when the adult learners receive a learning activity. In other words, all students go through the same experiences, but they move on at their own individual pace. The individualization of training is often appropriate but may be at the expense of the organization. Proctor Thompson in 2005 says that leadership development repeatedly asserts the centrality of the individual leader, while James and Burgoyne in 2001 note that leadership development gives far more attention to individual leader compared with the development of the constellation of leadership. Individualization becomes manifest through the following: facilitation, mentoring, coaching, and consultancy. Facilitation. Rigg and Richards in 2005 argued that support needs to be multifaceted: mentor, coach, facilitator, and bilingual, practitioner, and academic. They showed that facilitators in a number of public service leadership settings, including health and local government, play multiple roles. They act as facilitator of the process, also a source of subject expertise, and as a mentor to participants. They claim that facilitating is a craft with multiple moments of judgment and choices to be made. There are also manifold opportunities for facilitators to learn from experience and, like their participants, to gain insights from experimentation and reflection. Facilitators bring their own anxieties, impulses to control, and responses to uncertainty, which influence the process of action as much as dynamics between the group of participants. Again, this was according to Rigg and Richards in 2005. And also, facilitation is used extensively in NCSL, or the National College of School Leadership programs, and is often one of the widely uploaded dimensions of such programs. It is particularly effective where the facilitators have specific knowledge of the context in which participants work. For example, facilitators who have experience of leading small primary schools are seen to have a deep understanding of the management issues facing such leaders. This is according to Bush et al. In 2007. Next, we have mentoring. Mentoring is a process where one person provides individual support and challenge to another professional. The mentor may be a more experienced leader, or the process may be peer mentoring. Mentoring is a relationship between a person with more experience and a person with less experience. Although the mentoring process or the mentoring relationship is often reciprocal, the mentoring pair focuses on growth in the mentee. Mentoring relationships are, of course, ever-changing. According to Bush et al. In 2007, he noted that mentoring is becoming more person-centered, with an increased awareness of the need to match mentor and mentee, to ensure that mentors are properly trained and that there is time, support, and understanding of the reflective process. Hobson and Sharps in 2005 also states that the systematic review of the literature found in that all major studies of formal mentoring programs for new heads reported that such programs have been effective, and that the mentoring of new heads can result in a range of perceived benefits for both mentees and mentors. Pocklington and Wendling in 1999 argued that mentoring offers a way of speeding up the process of transition to headship. We always define mentoring as a developmental process existing in the relationship between a more experienced individual and a less experienced individual, with of course the purpose of development in the mentee. But the question is how mentoring helps develop the leadership skills of an individual. So I have here stated the 6 steps or processes, or gives you idea on how to develop or to widen the leadership skills of an individual. Number 1, mentoring helps emerging leaders develop moral clarity. Of course, it is important part in a leader to establish and hold oneself to a high level of integrity. So, example, a mentor is talking through specific situations. Mentees can express decent perspective about this, or by having a clear moral perspective, mentees can be better prepared to make the right decisions when the pressure is high, and of course it really counts. Number 2, mentoring can increase self-awareness. One of the keys to great leadership is, of course, the high degree of self-awareness. Number 3, mentoring can broaden the mentee's functional perspective. One of the biggest challenges to growing leaders is getting them to expand their perspective. Number 4, mentoring helps mentees with developing the network they need to grow. Number 5, mentoring can increase communication and interpersonal skills in both the mentor and the mentee. Mentoring is of course excellent for mentees who need help developing their executive presence, like presentation skills, emotional management skills, and the like. In mentees and mentor, when they are paired with the experienced mentor, he has the benefit of both a role model as well as the access to feedback on these topics. And the last, we have the reversed mentoring helps mentees develop mentoring skills of their own. It was popularized by Jack Welch in 1996, the term reverse mentoring. It recognizes that mentoring is, of course, is not only one-way process in which the mentor gives and the mentee is always the receiver or receives. On the contrary, there are several topics in which the mentee might be able to mentor or to coach the mentor. Another one, we have coaching. Coaching is in the ascendancy as a mode of development in NCSL programs, according to Bush et al. 2007. Davis in 1996 argues that coaching and supporting can be seen as the most effective management approach. Davis also adds that coaching is a mutual conversation between the manager and the employee that follows a predictable process and leads to superior performance, commitment to sustained improvement, and positive relationships. Of course, as we all know, coaching is a bit more personalized than consulting. And in my opinion, the most effective professional development methods for leaders, it is usually done on a smaller scale and can occur from grade level teams or department groups to a one-on-one teacher coach setting. So, Basay states that coaching differs from mentoring because it stresses the skills development dimension. Bloom et al. In 2005 add that coaches provide continuing support that is safe and confidential and has as its goal the nurturing of significant personal, professional, and institutional growth through a process that unfolds over time. And also, coaching is a core element of the programs offered by the Center for Excellence in Leadership, or the CEL. It is a body focused on leadership for the English learning and skills sector. The CEL says that this process works by reflecting and gaining insights, identifying what works, and acting on this learning. Coaching builds upon and acts on how managers work and learn. So the coaching process is that the teacher understands and realizes the answers are within themselves. Sometimes it's just take practice or soundboard or reflective partner to help them find. Also, coaching is often regarded as an effective learning mode within leadership development programs. Coaching and mentoring and other forms of peer support appear to work best when training is thorough and specific, when there is careful matching of coach and coachee, and when it is integral to the wider learning process. This is according to Bush et al. In 2007. Next, we have consultancy. I think the major difference between coaching and consulting comes from the person whom has the answers. According to Hardy, there are 4 core functions of consultant practice. Number 1, we have expert clinical practice. Consulting is usually done on a bigger scale, and then the answers that they have years of vetted experiences. Consultants usually inform on topics such as pedagogy, instructional strategies, curriculum, policies, procedures, and of course, different standards. For number 2, we have professional leadership and consultancy. Consulting can improve teaching and learning. In many times, teachers can walk away with great ideas to immediately implement it into their classroom. Next, number 3 is research and evaluation. And number 4, education and professional development. Consultants may or may not follow up after the initial professional development, but sometimes it depends on the time constraints or financial availability of the school or the district consultant. The National College of School Leadership includes consultant leadership as one of the 5 stages in its leadership development framework. Its development program for consultant leadership aims to encourage school leaders to take a prominent role in facilitating the learning of other leaders. The program is framed around 8 competencies. These are accurate self-assessment, or being aware of strengths and limitations. Next, you have the self-confidence, or it's all about the belief in one's own ability. Number 3, self-management, or your ability to keep emotions in check. Next, you have the empathy, or the ability to sense others' feelings and concerns. Partnering is the ability to work collaboratively with others, while pattern recognition is the ability to identify patterns of behavior. And the last, we have the developing others, or its way to help others to develop their capabilities. Another one, we have the e-learning. E-learning is where education conveyed via electronic means. There are several reasons why traditional chalk and talk methods are no longer considered appropriate for delivering leadership training. Actually, they are criticized by leaders themselves for focusing on the theory over practice with overly perspective formats that neither engage the audience nor consider individual learning needs. So according to Chong et al., and he refers this to Singaporean context, he says that information technology means that employees could have individualized learning programs on demand. Also, McFarlane et al. In 2003 review of the related literature describes a range of indicators of effective practices in e-learning for leadership. Aside from it allows you to take your learner out of the classroom and immerse them in real-life leadership situations that are tailored to them, the e-learning also provide pre-program diagnosis, optimize peer-to-peer and reciprocal learning to facilitate their communications, also encourage a group to promote collaborative within the learning environment. It also ensures fast and reliable internet connections, builds systems that guides or pressure learners to complete the program, also to assess different activities so that they can get essential learnings from it. And of course, the last is to ensure that the program has the high status in the relevant community. Now let's have the group learning. Despite the tendency to emphasize individual leadership learning, group activities play a significant part in many development programs. While this may sometimes be an opportunity for an essentially didactic approach, delivering a body of knowledge, there are several other groups learning strategies that may be employed to promote participants' learning. You have the action learning. An enhanced focus on action learning arises in part because of an increased recognition that leadership and management are practical activities. While knowledge and understanding serve to underpin managerial performance, they provide an inadequate guide to action. According to Hallinger and Bridges in 2007, education in the profession should emphasize the application of knowledge and add that professional development should aim at preparing managers for action. Action learning is one example of this more practical approach. McHill and Beatty in 1995 showed that It provides for continuous learning and reflections by a set of people or using an experiential learning cycle. These authors show how action learning can contribute to management development through the development of the individual manager and the organization as a whole. Smith in 2001 focuses on the use of action learning in leadership development. Writing from a Canadian perspective, he states that action learning embodies an approach based on comrades in adversity, learning from each other through discriminating questioning, fresh experience, and reflective insight. It is a form of learning through experience based on the premise that we can only learn about work at work. Another example of group learning is the residential and off-site learning. Off-site learning is a central part of the most leadership development programs, involving periodic meetings at the provider's premises or at a conference center. Bosch et al. In 2007 note that most NCSL programs make provision for off-site activity, and evaluation evidence is generally positive but unspecific. Participants on several programs appear to value such sessions because of their potentials for networking, but they also seem to provide space for reflection. Another one, we have the networking and school visits. The residential and offsite learning provide the potential for networking. Intervisitation and school visits in particular play a significant part in the NCSL programs. Bush and Gilvert in 2004 advocate networking as one of the 4 main leadership development approaches. Green in 2001 suggests that networking with peers is one of the 5 development modes, while James and Whiting in 1998 advocate the provision of framework for networking for deputy heads. Portfolio are becoming significant elements of the assessment process in several leadership development programs. Wolf and Gerhardt in 1997 defined Link's portfolio to coaching and mentoring. Leadership portfolio is an ongoing reflection of an individual's accomplishments, skills, activities, programs, and other related experiences that have contributed to his personal leadership development. You can use this portfolio in any situation in which you need to demonstrate your leadership abilities. Patterson and Kelly in 2001 expressed reservations about teacher portfolios. 2 of these are pertinent for leadership development. Number 1, they are difficult to use for judgments because of lack of uniformity. Number 2, teachers may not be objective when portfolios are used for summative purposes, particularly those related to career development. And we have the 4 dimensions of leadership development program. Number 1, we have learning environment. Number 2, learning styles. Number 3, learning approaches. And number 4, learning support. Number 1, learning environment. The most successful learning experiences occur when there is a bridge between the work situation and the learning situation, and where participants have the opportunity to reflect their own practice and then to share their response with others. We have learning styles. The most successful adult learning appears to grow from the identification of personalized learning needs. In the construction of programs, much is to be gained from offering flexibility in content and approach. There should be opportunities for structured investigations, problem-based learning, and reflective activities. They can also be considerable gains from the understanding and developing the potential of e-learning. We have the learning approaches. The literature shows that there is only limited value in didactic approaches and considerable gain from the active learning. Wherever possible, learning objectives should be attainable through different means. In this respect, there is a need to develop batteries of materials and approaches designed to present the same messages in different ways, including e-learning opportunities. The last topic, we have the learning support. There is evidence that people designated as tutors Mentors, coaches, and facilitators may not understand their role and may have been selected on the basis that they are perceived to be or to have been successful leaders. To ensure effective support, there is a need for careful matching and ongoing evaluation of relationships and the quality of supports. This is according to Bush et al. In 2007.